to Red Sea Rules. Today is lesson number 10. You know what? I think we're going to hold off for that till next week. Because if you hadn't heard, our church is starting to be reopened on the 14th of June. So that'll be our first Sunday back that we'll get to celebrate. And so lesson 10 really goes real well into leading us back into worship. And so come next week and you'll see lesson 10. But I thought just to kind of get us there, let's remind ourselves of what we have learned so far. Lessons or rules that we can learn when we go through difficult times and difficult waters. Just like those Israelites, when they were trapped between a raging army and a Red Sea. What are the lessons that God wanted them to learn? So let's go back all the way to the beginning to lesson number 1, or rule number 1. Rule number 1 is realize that God means for you to be where you are. God has purpose and plan in everything, and He has a reason for you to be going through whatever it is you're going through. And our responsibility is to learn and to grow through it. Don't just go through it, but grow through it. Rule number 2. Be more concerned for God's glory than for your own relief. Remember, this is all God's story. It's God's movie. He is putting this thing together. We are just like bit players. We get to come and be part of what He's putting together. And so the thing that's most important in all of this is that God gets the glory, that God's purposes are being revealed and done in and through us. And so what's more important is that God gets the glory, not for our own immediate relief. Because ultimately, God has given us relief in His Son, Jesus Christ, and in salvation that is found in Him, and eventually eternal life that's found in Him. And so that's when we will see that part of it. But rule number 3. Acknowledge your enemy, but keep your eyes on the Lord. And listen, this is the hardest one, because when we go through difficult times, or difficult experiences, or difficult people come against us, the easiest thing to do is to focus on the negative, right? To focus on the bad stuff going on. But when we focus on the bad stuff, we take our eyes off the Lord, and then He's not able to do what He wants to do. And so if you're going through something difficult, focus more on the Lord and His promises and His will for your life than for the events or whatever's causing you difficulties. Rule number 4, pray. It's kind of like when you go to Sunday school, the answer the kid throw up if they're not listening is Jesus, right? That's the Sunday school answer. And it sounds like when I say prayer, it's what it is. But ultimately, prayer is the most powerful tool or weapon that we have in our fight against the evil one. And so we just ask that you would pray and pray and pray. Rule number 5. Stay calm and confident and give God time to work. Remember, it's not about our timing, but God's timing. And He has a plan. He's trying to do something. And when we jump ahead of Him, we endanger that process. Now, God can still work even when we step out of line, but God desires us to be obedient to what He asks us to do, so that we are in line with what He wants, and we go on His timetable and not our timetable. Rule number 6. When unsure, just take the next logical step by faith. And in this, remember I told the story of the monster truck. You know, we're trying to get this monster truck going, and if it's standing still with those big, huge tires in that mud, it would be very difficult to take that wheel and turn it. But when you get forward momentum and you start asking God what you want to do, you start moving forward, it's easier for Him to guide and direct us. You know, thinking of missionaries as they're going out, they might not exactly know where or when or anything. They just go, because God has called them to go, and God directed their path, just like God did with Abraham, and directed his path as he went on this journey with faith that he had. Rule number 7. Envision God's enveloping presence. When we can just stop and take a moment and realize that God is doing something in our lives, that He hasn't left us, He hasn't forsaken us. God promises to be with us and to walk with us and to never leave us. And if we can realize that in our life, then it makes difficult times going through much easier. Rule number 8. Trust God to deliver in His own unique way. God does amazing things. And a lot of times, though, He delivers in simple ways, but then sometimes He delivers in incredible, miraculous ways, like He did for those people at the Red Sea. But if we focus and we just trust God, that God's going to make it work, God's going to get us out of this, whatever way. It might not be right now. You know, a lot of times when I'm praying for other people, we have to pray for God's will, because maybe God would desire for us to be in a difficult spot, like that rule number 1 said. But when we trust in God in His timing that He's going to save us, whether it's then or a year from now or 10 years from now, or ultimately save us through His eternal life in heaven, right? Number 9, view your current crisis as a faith builder for the future. When God puts us through something, sometimes He puts us through a small step of difficulty so that later on in life we can go through something even more difficult, because faith is kind of built one step at a time. As we see God provide, our faith grows, and as we see Him provide in this way, our faith grows. And then when we head against that big, huge valley or mountain or struggle in our life, but we've seen God faithfully take care of us, then we are more apt to have the power and the strength to walk on faith, to go through those difficult times. So view your current crisis as a faith builder for the future. And number 10, it's not in there because, like I said, we're going to wait till next week. So hopefully this one's short, so you can just watch it and be done. But next week, come back for lesson number 10, one of my favorites, and it'll lead us into a triumphal entry back together as we worship at Coastal on June 14th. God bless. We love you. Have a great day. Hope things are going well.